In today's discussion, we're delving into the intricate web of foreign aid, particularly the allocation of U.S. taxpayer money to countries like Israel and Ukraine. Our aim is to uncover the truth behind where our hard-earned money is going and how it might be affecting us as citizens. To shed light on this matter, I recently conducted a poll, and the results were quite revealing. Within the first 11 hours of the poll, an impressive 36,000 people participated, mostly from the U.S. The poll question was straightforward: should the United States of America send taxpayer money to help Israel's military? The outcome was stark. Only 14% of Americans expressed support for channeling more U.S. taxpayer funds to Israel's military, while a whopping 86% said no. These results, my friends, reveal a significant divergence from the narrative perpetuated by the media, which often portrays it as a popular choice. It's time to share this reality on your social media platforms because the majority of Americans are against it. The politicians and media may push for more funding, but it's essential to see through the smokescreen. The driving force behind this push for more funding to foreign nations like Israel and Ukraine is, indeed, financial gain. It's an open secret that these backdoor deals involving vast sums of taxpayer money are opportunities for the wealthy elite to amass wealth and power. The more taxpayer money sent overseas with minimal transparency, the more fertile the ground for these backdoor dealings. As a result, the rich and powerful continue to profit while everyday taxpayers like us are left bearing the burden. To provide you with a glimpse into this world, let's take a look at a video clip featuring billionaire Bill Ammon engaging in a secretive meeting with Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Audio clip: Billionaire Bill Ammon's meeting. Now, what we witness in this video is a blatant display of how the wealthy elite no longer feel the need to hide their dealings. They're openly engaging in discussions because they are confident that the general public won't revolt against them. In this case, J.P. Morgan was the orchestrator of this meeting, connecting wealthy individuals with Zelensky to explore potential investments in Ukraine. Ammon's statement about starting investments before a war ends sheds light on the ulterior motives behind these interactions. The rich invest in Ukraine, and their wealth is at stake. They cannot afford to let Putin seize their investments. To protect their interests, they call in favors from politicians, often leveraging their financial contributions and connections. These backdoor deals and lobbying are all part of the same playbook, further demonstrating the hidden agendas at play. Let's break it down. The politicians, with ties to the wealthy elite, allocate billions of U.S. taxpayer dollars to Ukraine for various purposes, including defense and infrastructure. However, beneath the surface, these funds can be seen as grants to protect rich investors' interests. The Ukrainian government, in turn, receives these billions, essentially acting as project managers. It's a cycle driven by profit motives and behind-the-scenes agreements. Now, you might wonder who's truly in control here. This system operates under the influence of three major groups: the rich corporations, who possess the money, the central bankers, who create the money, and the politicians, who make the laws. The alignment of these forces enables them to manipulate the system to their advantage. This is not about criticizing the rich but rather exposing their exploitation of taxpayer money for personal gain. One crucial aspect to understand is that these controlling parties abuse their power but do so up to a certain point. They strike a delicate balance, ensuring they don't oppress the population to the extent that it leads to a revolt. The people do have the power to overthrow these institutions if pushed too far, whether through coups, boycotts, or demanding a new system. Therefore, there's a science to this oppression, maintaining just enough to prevent an uprising. Now, a common question that arises is, why isn't U.S. taxpayer money being spent on improving the lives of American citizens? The crux of the issue isn't about choosing between Americans or Ukrainians. It's about prioritizing the interests of everyday Americans over the wealthy elite. Taxpayer money is being used to safeguard the rich's investments, essentially subsidizing them at the expense of the average citizen. If you're passionate about supporting Ukraine or Israel, consider contributing to charities that align with your beliefs. However, compelling every taxpayer to finance these endeavors without choice is where the issue lies. It's time to put an end to this practice. To put things in perspective, Ukraine has received over $100 billion in U.S. taxpayer money. Simultaneously, the situation in Gaza and Israel has escalated, diverting the spotlight from Ukraine. Zelensky's response was telling. He attempted to fly to Israel to regain the spotlight. However, Israel recognized the value of the U.S. taxpayer money and declined his visit. It's evident that these actions are driven by financial interests. Now, Zelensky is requesting an additional $750 billion for Ukraine. To understand the scale of this request, consider that the U.S. government is expected to collect around $4 trillion in tax revenue this year. Zelensky's request constitutes roughly 19% of that amount. While this sum is spread over multiple years, it's still a staggering figure. In the midst of these financial dealings, we must not forget the challenges faced by everyday Americans. Over 40 million Americans rely on SNAP benefits, food stamps, and 9 million are in low-income housing. Homelessness is on the rise, with a hidden homeless population growing. Social Security, a vital lifeline for 70 million Americans, is projected to go insolvent by 2032. The question we need to ask ourselves is whether it's morally justifiable to prioritize foreign aid at such a massive scale while domestic issues continue to plague our citizens. We should not be shouldering the burden of subsidizing the wealthy elite's interests. So, to sum it up, this entire system is driven by profit motives, backdoor deals, and hidden agendas. It's time for everyday Americans to stand up and say no to the misuse of our hard-earned taxpayer money. If you found this discussion enlightening, please subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your perspective matters in this conversation. Thank you for your support, and I wish you a great day ahead. Take care. Disclaimer: this content is provided for informational purposes and does not necessarily reflect the views of any specific source or organization.